Welcome back, everybody. My name is BluJay, and we are back at the Reverb Outpost, starting out with a couple of changes to our texture pack today. Actually, just one main change. The stained glass. There are no more borders. I actually got this request from a couple of different subscribers, and especially on things like this. This is why the decision is worth making, a consideration for. So check this out. This room right here, oh wow. It just looks incredible without the borders of the stained glass. It looks like one giant massive stained glass floor that has reflective surfaces straight out of the Death Star. I love it. So let me know what you guys think about this. I'm willing to go either way. I can see pros and cons of having borders versus not having borders. What do you guys think? Should we keep the borders, or should we keep what we've just shown off just now with stained glass without borders? I quite like it. I think it brings a really cool effect to the use of stained glass in this base, and we've got a really cool idea to use like the fog effect. I don't know if any of you have ever seen that before, but it's a pretty popular use of stained glass these days, where you basically use like a couple of different colors of stained glass of similar variety and alternate them and leave spaces in between so it looks like there's a giant massive chasm of fog. So I'm thinking that we might end up doing that at some point, which would mean no borders. We can't really do it with borders. So let me know what you guys think of the changes to the texture pack. Today we are picking back up on the project we started in the last episode, so if you haven't seen that yet, be sure to pause this now and go back and watch, because I actually went into my creative testing world and showed a semi-completed build of what we're working on. We're working on a massive storage system, and today's part of the build is only going to be focused on the redstone sorting system aspect of that project. So all of the chests are already in place. We've got the basic layout all ready to go, and we're basically just going to be working on the redstone side of things today. And that means we're probably not going to get around to any aesthetics. Once again, this is a massive, massive undertaking. It is a 100 module sorting system with 2 double chests in each module. So it's going to be a lot. It's going to be 200 double chests with a ton of hoppers and a ton of redstone work. So it's going to take a little while to finally complete this project, but I am determined. We're going to get it done. So be sure to go to watch that episode if you haven't seen it yet, and then come back and pick up right here. While we're doing some resource gathering for today's redstone project, what I want to talk to you guys about is something that's been brought up in the comment section for quite a while. It's a very, very frequent comment, question, suggestion from many subscribers, and it comes in from a lot of you. So I wanted to address it because it affects a lot of the community. The question is in relation to Discord. Now, if you don't know what Discord is, it's basically a social networking platform where you can do like text chat and voice chat to communicate about, for example, on my Discord server, Minecraft, or any other like BluJay tries types of games that I've done, but mainly Minecraft because that's the primary focus of my channel. And to answer the question, I do have a Discord already, and it has been an exclusive perk for Patreon subscribers. So anybody that goes over to my Patreon and donates gets instant access to my exclusive Discord. So I sent a message to my patrons over the weekend, and I was asking, what do you guys think about the idea of opening this up to the public? And everybody was like, yep, sounds like a good idea, could be fun, as long as we can keep a section of this private just for patrons so we can continue that community. And, there's like a section for people who are on the Patreon realm so that they can continue to share build ideas and do voice chats in-game and all of that kind of stuff. So that's still going to remain private, but I have already opened up a Discord server for the public, and it's in the link in the description below. It's absolutely free to you, absolutely free to me, and it's a great way for you to connect with other people who want to be a part of this community, BluJay Games YouTube. For those of you guys that really enjoy this community that much and want to interact with the people that are here, be sure to go check that out. I've already got quite a few people that have joined up, and I would love to have you as a part of that community as well. Link in the description below. All right, that's enough resource gathering for now. We are working on the first module for our sorting system, and I need to find a good place to do this. Can I do it from down below? Can I reach it? No, let's jump up a couple blocks, and we'll place a block here, 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 and you get the idea. So this is actually a sorting system that I've already built on my channel before. You've seen it in the sheep farm. And you've seen it in Blueprints if you've caught those episodes. Blueprints is a very, very detailed description of how this system works and how it's built. So if you want a step-by-step, be sure to go check out that video. There's a playlist on my channel called Blueprints, and there's only a few videos in there, but it should be pretty easy to find. It's also got an item elevator in there too, so you can learn how to make that while you're watching that video. So let's go ahead and take out this scaffolding, and I'll briefly explain how this works. So this first row of blocks right here is where the comparator goes, which reads the signal in the hopper and sends a signal down redstone, which powers a repeater here, which deactivates a torch attached to that block, which unlocks the hoppers that go into the chests so that you can allow items to flow in there. So basically, the only things that are allowed into each module are the items that are designated for those modules. It's a pretty ingenious design, and it's not actually even my design. It was originally created by a guy named Impulse SV. You've probably heard of him. He's pretty popular in the Minecraft community. So go check out his original tutorial if you want as well. It's pretty much the same thing that I do in Blueprints, but his might be a little more explained better because he created the design. But if you want to watch it from my perspective and on Bedrock Edition, because he is a Java Edition Minecrafter, feel free to check that out on my series, Blueprints. But it is nice because it does work on both Bedrock and Java. This is one of the few redstone contraptions that is cross-platform and works flawlessly on both. And the great thing about this as well, it's completely tileable. You can expand this system as large as your device is able to handle. All right, so we got all of our blocks in place and ready to go to place down the redstone, and all we need to do now is gather up some of this stuff. We need a ton of quartz because we're gonna need at least one piece of quartz per comparator, and we need, well, not roughly, we need exactly 100 comparators for our system. So we're going to need 100 pieces of quartz. We're going to get way more than we need because I'm sure we're going to use this for future projects, whether it is for quartz blocks, slabs, stairs, or for redstone devices. We're going to need quartz in the future. So we're just going to spend a little time gathering this stuff up. But something I wanted to chat with you about as well, another comment that I've gotten recently is that I've done a lot of building, and we haven't done adventuring for a while. And I would completely agree with that. It is about time for an adventure. So what I think we're going to do, I think we're going to pause this project at the end of this episode. Whatever we get done today is what we get done today. And then in the very next episode, I think it's time for just a little bit of a relaxing adventure. We're just going to go somewhere. And a suggestion that I got from somebody, speaking of the Nether, was to do portal hopping, is I believe what they called it. I'd never actually heard of that before, and I think they said that Echo Soldier had done it on his channel. But basically, you drop a Nether portal somewhere in the Nether and jump through it and see where you come out, and maybe do that a few times. So I think we may give that a try in the next episode. I love the idea, because you're traveling through the Nether and you have no idea where you're going to end up. We may end up somewhere we've already explored, which would mean we would just jump back in the Nether and keep going on farther and see where we end up. So that's what I think we're going to do. We're going to take a break from the big builds because we've been doing a ton of building recently, and not like easy projects either. We've been building some pretty massive stuff, especially this recent one that we're working on today. It is the biggest project so far of the series. So we're going to take a break right in the middle of it. Next episode, we're going on an adventure. For those of you that love adventuring and caving and are not as big into the building, this will be an episode especially for you. So I think I may end up doing another Q&A session in that one, so I want to give you guys fair warning. Be sure to submit your questions. I would love to answer as many of those as possible. Submit them here, submit them over on Discord, submit them over on Twitter. It doesn't matter where you submit those questions, but, you know, give me something to talk about when we go on our adventure together. We're all done in the Nether, and we have... let's show it off here. just under 8 stacks of quartz. That is a massive amount of quartz. We did pretty well, and I think it was just like 30 minutes of resource gathering. That'll definitely get us through our project today. Spent some time off camera working on crafting up all of the redstone parts that we need for this portion of the build. So I will walk you through how this works. Basically, we're going to place down comparators, all 100 of them, that's correct, right next to these hoppers right here, and make sure you don't tap on them like I did. We don't want them to be in the mode where the light is lit. We want them to be completely shut off until the hopper next to it, which is not in place yet. Ouch. Okay, let me run back up there. All right, let's try not to do that again. But basically what I was saying was we want the comparator to be off until the hopper that we will place down next to it here in just a little bit has something in it to activate and let that comparator know that there's a signal coming through. So that's basically what that does. And then we'll move on to the repeaters here in just a second. That's it for the comparators. Now we jump down here into this little gap and we place down repeaters in the same fashion as we did all the way around with the comparators. The important thing to note about this, you want to make sure that your repeaters are on the first slot. You do not want them to be at any further tick delay than 1 tick, and that's the default setting when you set it down. If you accidentally tap it, make sure to cycle back around to where the repeater is at 1 tick, because that could throw off the timing, which could open up the hopper for longer than you want it to, and so on and so forth, therefore breaking the system. Very important that your repeaters are on 1 tick. And we're doing pretty good so far, making sure we don't double click them while we're rushing by here. So remember that the comparators go in the first slot there, repeaters go down in this little gap, 1 tick, and you should be good to go. All of the repeaters are in place, and now what we're basically doing is covering up the top of the repeater, because this is where the redstone line is going to go that will power the repeater eventually, which will deactivate the redstone torch, which we have not put into place yet, but we'll get to that in just a bit. The next part of our redstone circuitry is the actual redstone dust that needs to go in place, and you basically just spam it on this grouping of blocks here, the top 2, and then this little section that steps down here, we need redstone dust all across that as well. And that's basically it for the circuitry, except for the redstone torches, which we'll place down in just a minute. I know we've talked about it a few times. I'll show you where those go as well, just so you know how the whole thing is built. Again, step by step, you can watch this in my tutorial series Blueprints. I explain everything in great detail. But the nice thing about the way this system works, again, because Impulse SV discovered this, this will never break your system. Even though there is redstone touching in conjoining modules, it will never break your system because the signal strength will never go further than 3. And in order for it to unlock the conjoining hopper, you would need a signal strength of 4. Because it would come out of the comparator into the first piece of dust and then into like those 2 right there, and then the bottom one down below, which would equate a signal strength of 4. This system will never, ever go to a signal strength of 4, so you don't have to worry about overflow stuff. You don't have to worry about, system breakage. You just got to make sure to keep on top of your storage, because if you do back up the system with things, it could clog the system, but it will never break the actual sorting system to where you got to reinstall all of the item filters and all of that, which item filters haven't talked much about yet, but we'll get to those here in just a bit as well. The last piece of our circuitry is about to go in place before we can install the hoppers and item filters, and it is the redstone torches going on this row of cobblestone directly across from the bottom hopper connected to the bottom chest in our storage area. And basically what this will do is it will lock the hoppers, not allowing any items to flow through down into these hoppers until an item passes by that is recognized as the actual item that should go in that area. And I'll show you how that all works with the hoppers once we get to that. But basically, if you've got, let's say we're sorting sand. Let's say the first module has sand in it. If dirt passes by in the distribution line, the hopper will say, I don't recognize that as something that should go in this chest, so I'm going to send it on down the distribution line. But then when sand comes by, it'll drop sand down into it because it says, yep, that is a matching block, matching name. We'll drop one sand down in, and that will release the signal so that it will unlock the hopper and it will allow one sand to go down into the storage system. Pretty simple design. I'll show you again how the hoppers work, and I placed these all down in the wrong spot, so I'm going to fix this real quick, and then I'll come back to you once we've got all the torches in place to do the next part of our storage sorting system. Bravo Michael wants to know, would you be willing to make a merch line for your subs, or maybe stuffed BluJays, or signed posters, or whatever? That's an interesting question. Let's get a few hoppers in place before we get started with that question of the day. Make sure they are going directly into the back of the comparators and not facing downward into the hoppers below. Just the best way to do this for this sorting system. So while we're working on this, let's answer that question. Merch line for BluJay Games. I've actually never really even thought about that, and I've already done this wrong. Let's take those two hoppers back out and get them facing the correct direction. Merch line. That would be really cool. I don't know that I'm necessarily at the level of YouTube size to do anything like that yet. I certainly can't afford to, front money or anything like that to create merchandise like t-shirts or stuffed BluJays or, make posters. I don't have that kind of revenue at my access in order to do that kind of stuff. And I don't even know where to start with anything like that because I've never really gone out and done that kind of stuff on my own. So I think it's a cool idea. Whoa, whoa, whoa! I don't think I could ever do that again if I tried. Do you see how small of a gap we just fell in? But I love the idea of merch. Maybe sometime down the road if the channel gets a little bit bigger. And I'm not even thinking before like 100,000 subscribers if we ever get to that point, because it's quite the undertaking to create merchandise. I'm not opposed to it, but I haven't really thought about doing anything like that just yet. I don't think we're there, but maybe in the future. We're starting to see some undead life, if you can call it that, returning to the surface here. We've lit up a ton of caves underneath this area. We've still got quite a bit of work to do, but it's helping with the lag quite a bit. And I'm sure that this sorting system is not going to help that issue, but it's definitely not hurting at the moment, especially if our render distance is low. But anyway, on to the next part. We are putting in item filters. And basically what this is, it's just cobblestone that's been renamed to be called item filter. That's just the name that I've chosen for it. You can pick any name that you want. It doesn't matter as long as it's not a name of an existing block in the game. It needs to be something completely different. You could name it ice cream cone. You could name it toenail. You could name it puppy dog. You could name it lightsaber. You could name it whatever you want in the entire world, as long as it does not reflect another block in the game. And that way you won't ever get the system confused. Nothing will ever come through here. Nothing will ever clog up these 4 slots, and they need to be in the last 4 slots. You need 1 block in each of the last 4 slots to lock up those parts of the hopper. The only thing that we want available for items to flow through is the very first slot in the hopper. So that's where your sorted item is going to go. And in that slot, you need, I believe it's 41 of the item to be sorted. It sounds like a lot, especially when it comes to things like diamonds, because diamonds are very precious and rare, and you're like, why would I waste 41 diamonds on a sorting system? Well, when you've got, mending gear, all of your gear has mending on it, diamonds are not that crazy valuable anymore, unless you lose all your mending gear, then you need it again. But yeah, 41 of anything sounds like a lot, unless it's cobblestone, because there's a ton of cobblestone and you'll never run out. But 41 is the magic number, and then once the hopper hits 42 items in that first slot, plus the 4 that are in the last 4 slots, it will send that signal strength down to the repeater to unlock that redstone torch, to unlock the hoppers, allowing 1 item to flow through. So once it hits 42, I believe that's the magic number, 42 items in the first slot, it will allow one item to go into the sorting system, which will funnel on down into the chest. Now, I believe the way that I've set this up, I think one item will also get locked in the bottom hopper based on the timings of when it unlocks and relocks. So it might honestly be 42 or 43 blocks before it finally makes it into the chest. But that's basically it. I'm going to go grab some more item filters and continue filling this system up, and then we'll be back in just a moment. All done filling up the item filter slots, and now I've got a couple of different blocks in my inventory that I want to give this a practical test so you guys can see that this does indeed work. If you haven't seen blueprints or if you haven't seen the sheep farm episodes, this will be your example, because I've already built this sorting system in other parts of the base, and it's indeed a very, very good system. So blocks are flowing into the system. This one should stop at 41. Yep, it's locked. The hopper is completely locked. This one's down to 41 as well. And let's go down in here and look at the chest, and they should all be in the bottom chest. So there's 22 items there, 22 items there. That adds up to 63. So I do believe that the last piece of quartz and the last piece of spruce planks is indeed in the bottom hopper, which we will check in just a second. But I want to go ahead and get these back out of here because we are done giving this a little test. And let's go check this right here. Yep, it's in the bottom hopper, so there's 42 plus 22 in the bottom row of chests there. That equals 64. So the system is working properly. All we got to do now is get the distribution line in place, which I don't think we're going to have time to do today because I'm going to have to go on another resource gathering mission and get a bunch of wood for this to get more chests. I've got iron galore, so iron is not the issue. The iron farm is pumping this stuff out, and we're doing pretty good on that. But I got to go on a resource gathering mission to get more wood for chests and get all of this taken care of. But that's going to take longer than we have today. And as usual, it's time to add another person to the Purple Squadron in the subscriber barracks, and today we are adding Mystic Craft. Thank you so much for being so active in the comment section below. I appreciate your support. Hope you enjoy your stay in the Purple Squadron. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is all the time that I've got for today. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and I hope you learned a little something about redstone. If you're a little confused about how all of this works, I tried to explain it the best way that I possibly could in a survival setting like this. But if you're curious and you want to know a little bit more about the system, be sure to go check out, again, my episode of Blueprints on this exact sorting system with an item elevator, which we will eventually build in this build as well, because we're going to need a spot to drop all of our items to filter them into the storage system. So we're still a ways away from completing this project, but like I said earlier, we are going to take a break from this to go on an adventure in the next episode. We need a break from the big projects because we don't want to get burned out. We don't want to get ahead of ourselves. We want to pace ourselves at a good rate to where we don't get tired of a project, and I think an adventure will do us good. So submit some questions to me, whether it's here, whether it's on Discord, whether it's over on Twitter, wherever you like to submit questions, feel free to do that, and I'd be happy to try to answer as many of those as possible in the very next episode on our adventure. But for now, my name is BluJay, and I've got to fly on out of here. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.